Good morning. Is everyone comfortable? Perfect. I'm going to ask you to move down to the middle here so we can have a little bit of a tighter group. Now that you got comfortable, it's really nice of me to do that, right? So have you all come. My name is Jim Kelly. I'm one of the local guys here. So I'm the Information Security Officer for Mission Health, Mission Hospitals here in Asheville, North Carolina. Been here about 6 years, and I also have the privilege of serving on the Cybersecurity Advisory Council for the college here. And so it's been great. I've been here for the entire 5 years that we've been doing this. We're planning the 6th year now, and so it's great to see this grow. And so we're here today. I'm going to introduce Dr. Deanne Cranford-Wesley. She's here with us today. And Dr. Cranford-Wesley is currently the Associate Dean in the Business Information Technology Department of the Davis iTech Cybersecurity Center at Forsyth Technical Community College, where she teaches information system security and computer forensics. Recently, she led the initiative on behalf of Forsyth Technical Community College to the prestigious redesignation of Center for Academic Excellence for Information System Security and Cyber Programs. And I think that's what you're talking to us a little bit about today, how to do that. So that's great. Dr. Cranford-Wesley holds a PhD in education leadership with a focus in instructional technology and a Master of Art in administration, and holds multiple network and security certifications. That's great. She's a published author and presents at various conferences, including Women in Cybersecurity and CompTIA Educators Conference and the North Carolina Computer Instructor Conference. So join me in welcoming Dr. Cranford-Wesley.
Good morning. So I am so honored to be here this morning and so glad some of you are interested in CAE. It's a passion for me in cyber. And so before I get started, I heard this from a smart gentleman this morning. He said, "Do you want to know a secret?" And that's how I get your attention. So hopefully I have your attention. And so I just want to talk to you briefly about what we've seen already. Some wonderful things going on at Montreat College. Montreat and Forsyth Tech are friends and partners. Kelly Bergerman, she usually comes to our college and does some things. And we kind of partner and work together. And so I'm so happy that she invited me here today. And Paul Moore, excellent president. So I just want to say welcome to all of you and thank you to those that invited me here today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how do you get to a center of academic excellence. And I'll start by just giving a little bit brief history of the CAE community. So the Centers of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity is a community that is a consortium of colleges, okay? And the university is working with industry to bridge the cybersecurity skills gap. So that's the whole purpose, is that we're trying to bridge the cybersecurity gap, right? And so with that in mind, as you can see here on our on the screen here, we have about 200, and I'm gonna say 200 plus, because that number keeps changing. It is a dynamic number. Okay, is it 240? 300, okay, so we reached the 300 mark. And so we have Lynn Clark here. She has all the details, so she'll help me out with because we keep growing, and that number keeps changing, and she probably has the latest numbers across 46 states, okay? And the District of Columbia and the Commonwealth, okay? And so there is a great, great need for cybersecurity experts, and you heard that in an earlier presentation. And so it's important that we have colleges, universities, industry, and government to come together, all come together to help fill that pipeline, because it's going to take all of us collaboratively to do that. And so it's very, very important. So I just wanted to give a little bit of that history. And so the next thing I want to talk to you about is, what are some of the benefits? Why do I even want to do that? I hear all this talk about it's a rigorous process, and it is. I have to go through all my curriculum. I have to map it to the CAE knowledge units. Why do I even want to do that? Some people say it takes me 6 months. Some people say it takes me a year. Some say 2 years. But I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons you really want to do this is because we want to protect our government industries. We want to protect our water, our infrastructure, our networks, our computer systems, our companies. Small business needs people to protect that. So if you have any interest in keeping our government safe and protecting all of its citizens, then you say, it may not be a very, very tall ask, okay? And so some of the benefits, once you map your curriculum, is that you have national recognition, okay? It's a national recognized program. So you're going to get some increased enrollments if you are a school or community college. Students want to come to a college that they can have some prestige behind. Hey, I'm attending a college that's a center of academic excellence. And people say, well, what is that? And I said, well, the curriculum was mapped to the NSA DHS criteria. And that is a stringent criteria. Also, when a student goes to employers and they say they graduated from a CAE, they know that certain things they had to meet. Knowledge units had to be obtained. Skills had to be obtained. And if you haven't already and you're not aware of the NIST or the NICE framework, a lot of our work are mapped to those skills and abilities. It's a great site. You should go to that. That is at nice.gov. Is that correct? Nice.gov. And so you will see how actual career pathways and titles, the skills needed for those jobs, and then you can relate that to the knowledge units back to the mapping process. So, national program recognition, increased enrollments, ability to apply for NSF grants, and these are not all of the benefits, but these are some of the benefits that people recognize. Your college program is not recognized because it is the program at the college that is now recognized. It used to be it's a university, it's still a university, the university is recognized, but the program is the one that's actually designated. That is one of the new changes last year, okay? And then there's scholarship opportunities for students. So it's scholarship opportunities for students as well as the college. Some opportunities you don't see if you're not a CAE. And for Forsyth Tech, we are a CAE as well as Montreat College. We would not have seen a lot of the scholarships that come our way had we not been a center of academic excellence. That does not say that you're guaranteed the scholarships, but you have the opportunity to apply for them. And they will come directly to you, and the college makes the choice whether they want to apply or not for these scholarship opportunities. And there's various scholarship opportunities. There's scholarship opportunities for the students, for the schools, for capacity building. If you want to create a lab, you want a SOC. We heard President Muir talk about the Cybersecurity Innovation Center. A wonderful, wonderful visionary he is. A need is addressed there. So monies could come for those types of projects or to assist, because that's a huge project, very exciting project. But money could come towards those kinds of things as well. And then there's networking opportunities, and there are networking opportunities for students, networking opportunities for instructors, and it's a collaboration from college instructors to university instructors and university instructors across the world, because as you can see, the CAE is in 46 states. So we all come together several times a year to collaborate. What are you doing at your school that's different from mine? How can I learn from you? How can I come to your school and maybe do a presentation or team teach or do a summer internship with you, and you come back to my school? I'm learning from you, you're learning from me. Those kinds of networking opportunities. And it opens doors for students as well. We have seen a great success in doing that. Because if we go to meetings, you're meeting people you wouldn't normally meet, and you're talking about things you wouldn't normally talk about. How do I build capacity in my school? How do I work with industry? And you have industry leaders there that you could partner with as well. Okay? So that is a great opportunity and benefits of, some of the benefits of becoming a CAE. Okay. National leadership expectations. So what's the expectations when I become a CAE? So it's a Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense Education is what that title is. So what are some of the expectations? Well, one of the expectations is that you don't stop there. Once your school has been designated, and you've told them you do all these wonderful things, I'm doing things in the community, we have presentations in the college, the students get access to industry. We put on conferences, all those things that you told the NSA that you've done to get the CAE designation, you must continue to do those things and go above and aboard. So a lot of times the NSA will call on you to do some things, right? They say, well, hey, can you come do a CAE forum for us? That's an online forum where you're talking about a topic that's passionate to you, some industry skills, but you're presenting to people virtually, and you may have as many as 200-300 people on that call. So now you're giving your expertise back to others. You even may be called to help some schools where they're having a difficult time with designating, or they have a problem with some textbooks. So you are still adding value to the community that now you've joined, okay? So they expect that. So you can't stop. You have to keep raising the bar. One of the things we've done at Foresight Tech is to continue raising the bar. We work with high schools. And so we work with high school teachers. We help them learn content, as well as some hands-on skills. And then our hope is that once they get excited about that, they are going to be presenting and teaching to their 12th grade students. Also, we look at it as a way to build capacity for cybersecurity instructors. If you're in industry or education, you know it's hard to find talented instructors to teach this stuff. So that could be a pathway into your program as well. When you have because the teachers know the pedagogy, they also, if they know technology, if they're teaching technology, they can learn some cyber, and if they get excited about it, they actually go and get certified. And we have one teacher that we're working with that is so interested in becoming a teacher for us, and she's going back to get her master's. So you're filling that pipeline in one way of capacity for teachers, but you're also helping students become aware of cyber careers. Students don't necessarily know about cyber careers in the high school space. We teach them manufacturing and plumbing and all of these skills. Let's be a teacher, computer science, but they don't know about cyber careers. So we have to expose them to that type, that career pathway. And so we do focus group, we do clusters, we go out to career fairs, and so that fills the pipeline into the school and it builds enrollment, and students get excited about that. So you do those kinds of things, so you still have to do those kinds of things. Workshops to the community, work with industry partners to bring work skills, hacking events into the school. How many people know that it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month? October, everybody, that's wonderful. So Cybersecurity Awareness Month is a big deal. And so all across the nation, CAE, schools, businesses are doing wonderful things to advance the cyber content and to build that pipeline. What some of the things we're doing, we're going to have a hacking workshop for our students. We're going to have a virus protection day. And that is, we have donations for some virus protection from one of our vendors. And what we're going to do with those is every student in the college, so they're first come, first serve. When they're gone, they're gone. But students are able to come into our skills lab, and faculty and clubs, our Cyber Geeks clubs, and some of our industry partners will be waiting for them to install virus protection on their computers. And so we're giving back that way, and then students are learning to how to do that from us. So it's a win-win across the board. So you got to continue to do those kinds of things. We have a CAE community. And that is a wonderful group of people. They're willing to share all types of curriculum. If you need something, they're there to help you. This is the place, and it's caecommunity.org. This is the place where you would go if you have questions, if you want to attend workshops, if you, hey, I don't have the money to attend the workshop. Well, it may be scholarships opportunities on the site for CAE schools. So where you can get a stipend to attend, as well as materials, you can get help, those kinds of things. So we are a community. The CAE community is a community. Great resources. And so Cyberwatch is another entity, another great way to network, another great place that you can add value to the cybersecurity community. Cyberwatch has workshops online, in seat. You can go to Cyberwatch to a presentation if you like. You can help Cyberwatch in all the initiatives they're doing in cyberspace. They host Interact, it's called Innovations in Cybersecurity Journal. You can actually write for the journal. If you have some great things you want to share with the community, it could be published in that journal. They will help you publish those things. Free curriculum, cyber curriculum, you can go there. You're a part of the CAE community, and you don't really have to be a part of the CAE community, be a CAE per se, to have access to Cyberwatch. You could just be interested in bettering yourself and students. So there's free curriculum out there you could download, but you have to be a member of Cyberwatch. And there's no cost to be a part of Cyberwatch. So it's a great resource as well. Okay. Education expectations. Minimal participation includes submissions to an annual report. So there's an annual report that all CAEs contribute to, right? So we have information in our annual report that we have to report back to the NSA office, okay? And so they give you this report, and you're telling them what you've been doing for 6 months. How have you advanced cybersecurity in 6 months? So you have a 6-month report, you have an annual report. Those are important because what the CAE office does is they're able to say, oh, if someone calls the office and say, hey, does Montreat have a cyber program. And what are they doing? The CAE office is able to say, pull up that report and say, hey, they're doing this, they're building a Cybersecurity Innovation Center, they have this certification, they have this degree. Their foundation is technical, governance, and ethics. Anyone in office can give that information and then refer them back to Montreat's president or who's ever over the program. Is that correct, Lynn? That is correct. So she can pull that up. So those reports are important, okay? So that's the expectations. That's one of the expectations. You must have regular communications with the program office as well, okay? So if something changes in your program, if the president changes, if the main contact for CAE changes, you have to give that information back to the program office. That's important so they'll know who to contact. So you have to do those kinds of things. Attendance at several meetings are very important. Our CAE annual meeting is important. And there's some other important dates that you will receive that information from the NSA program office. They'll give you that information. So those kinds of things are mandatory. And I say those things because it's not just mapping your curriculum to the criteria and the non-honors units. It's a lot more that goes into that. So when President Muir says, hey, we're now a CAE, it means something because they've done a lot of work, hard work, and they did that for the success of the students. Okay, and they continue to have to give back. Okay, some other things. Have to be active, support. You have to give active support to the CAE, the CCR. So I'm going to talk about the CRRCs and the CNRCs. So the CRRCs are the CAE Regional Resource Centers. And we have about 8, and I didn't bring the map with me, but we have regions. So this particular region would be the Central Eastern region, and these CRRCs are there to help the CAEs for resources, those that's willing to, are looking for resources to become a CAE, those that's looking for books, resources, teachers, to just advertise what they're doing in their state. And so currently, Forsyth Tech is a CRRC, and the regions that we cover would be North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, okay, and Kentucky. And so, and Kelly, who is faculty and lead of the Cyber Center here, she is one of the advisors there under the CRRC umbrella. And what she's responsible for is to, if we have a university that needs information about how to become a CAE, I put her in contact with Kelly. Kelly can help her answer her questions about, because the criteria for a community college and a 4-year institution is a little different, okay? The 4-year has to map to more knowledge units, okay? And so we'll talk about that as we get further along. But so that's some of the responsibilities of the CRRC. Now the regional CAE centers, they're over the CRR centers. They work with the program office directly, and they have a purpose. They have an assigned purpose that they do. So we have Corinne Sandy, who is at Wacom. She is what we call, she works with C5, and she actually handles all the new colleges that wants to come in and become a CAE. They apply, she gets a checklist, she goes through the checklist to make sure everything is there. And so her entity kinds of manages that whole process. And when everything is done there, it's a mentoring program that she works with our other national CRRC, and that is Margaret Leary's wheelhouse, if you will. And she looks at mentors, getting mentors to help other schools, mentors to review applications, and those types of things. And so that's kind of got like the overview of what that's kind of the organization kind of structure there currently. But there may be some changes at the end of the year, and I think Lynn Clark from the NSA office will address that a little. If we have a question, she might do a small overview of that. So I talked to you a little bit about the CAE Tech Talk and the CAE forums that CAE schools have the opportunity to be a part of. So it's not mandated, but if you are part of these things, when it's time for you to redesignate, you can say, they can say, hey, what did you do to advance cybersecurity? You can say, hey, I did a couple forums, here's my proof, because remember, you gotta have proof for everything. You can't just say you did it. You need to provide proof that you did it, right? So you can say, hey, this is my letter, this is my certificate I got from doing that, this was the day, here's some pictures, those kinds of things. So it makes it very easy to say when it's time to redesignate, which most of us CAEs have to designate every 4 years. Foresight Tech just redesignated in this year, and we were awarded in May. So every 4 years, you have to redesignate. It's not that you get it and you have it forever, okay? You have to still go through the process of mapping curriculum. Okay. So CAE is a program designation currently, and it is, so if you're in the technology department and you have curriculum that lives there, then that department, that program can be designated, but it doesn't have to be just technology. It could be in business, it can be in computer science, it could be data science, it could be forensics, any of those things, okay? Because some people come to me a lot and they say, well, I don't have a technical program, but I do have some technical components. Can I still map? And I said, sure, you just have to meet certain criteria. And we'll talk about that criteria. So the CAE is designation, its award is based on successful application, demonstrating excellence, okay? And we kind of went over some of those things. Okay, so I like to say that this is, so I'm giving you like a brief overview. Normally we have a working session where you're doing exercises and things about this, but I was asked to kind of give you an overview about the program if you did not know. So I broke this up into 3 steps. That first step is an offline phase that I call it, right? So in this phase, you're gathering any documents you have because you are asked, okay, what labs do students have to do? You need to show where those labs live. You need to show that they're doing labs. You need to show that you're active in the community. So what kinds of things did you do? Did you give a conference? Did you have a hacking day? Did you go to a career day? Okay, so those are kinds of documents I'm talking about. So you have to do that document phase. So gather all your documents, put them in a folder. If you are looking at 5 classes in your cyber program, and you're going to map 5 classes, my suggestion would be to have a cloud. You can have it in the cloud. You can put folders there and say it's Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, and E that I'm mapping. I can put documentation and all that belongs to each of those things in that folder. So you're kind of organizing them while you're thinking about it, right? So you're gathering all of this. So you may not have been the person to go and get certified, or may not be the person that went to 3 career days, but one of your faculty may have done it, maybe someone else in the department, but you need to gather that information from that person and put it in those folders, if you will. And then you have to identify the KUs that you want to be mapped, right? So you do that by going through, there's a spreadsheet out on NIETP, and I'll show you that in a minute. is a spreadsheet there, and it'll give you all the mapping criteria, and you have to decide where you're going to map, okay? And put a pin there, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. This is the website, and can we link that website up, please? Thank you. And I'm going to show you this funny message. You'll probably get this message that says, warning, warning, stop. Are you sure you want to go there? So let's see if our warning comes up. Just be a few minutes there. But if the warning comes up, you have to tell the computer that I still want to go there, right? And so let's see, it just depends. Sometimes it comes depending on what browser you're using. And people get scared and they say, oh no, I definitely don't want to go there, okay? And so I want to show you that so you're not afraid. I thought we were getting there, but not yet. But we'll move on until we get there and I can come back there. Can you sync it up? Oh, you can? Oh, it's there. Okay, there we go. So it's there. Can you see that it's kind of blurred to me, but it just may be me? So here, if you look on, so we have, right now it has 2020 CAE designation cycle, so it gives you all the information of when the application is due, what to do. But what's important to you guys is, if you click on CAE requirements and resources, can I get someone in the back to do that for me? If you click there, you will, right at the top to your left, under home, thank you. If you look there, you will see where it says CAE program criteria, guidance, and then it gives you the criteria. So let's look at the criteria for CAE, and let's look at CAE, not the research, let's go down to associates. Let's just do the associates right there. Criteria, yes, thank you. And just open it up. And here you can go, so if you're university, you can get the university ones. This is the community college one. And you can see it gives you all the goals. It gives you the criteria. This is where you would go. You don't have to be CAE to be able to pull this up, because you see I didn't have to have a login. And also you see when he pulled it up, he didn't get that warning sign. So it depends on the browser. Sometimes you get to, before you can get here, it'll give you a warning. Uh-oh, you're entering someplace. You sure you want to go here? And you just say yes, and you advance it, and you'll be okay. But that didn't happen, okay? And so this is the Cyber Defense Education Program, and this is kind of like the criteria there. It'll give you a link to where you can get the application to apply, okay? And it also gives you the checklist. And the checklist, if you see the checklist is just really a one-pager that kind of guides your thought. So then it'll ask you, okay, what courses do you think you want to map? Do you have a vibrant program already? Or is your program not vibrant? Do you need some help with it? And you're answering those questions in an effort so that when the program office gets that, and that would be Korean Sandy over that criteria, she would look at that and say, okay, where should we, this person may need help. If it looks like you need a little help before you can actually apply, then they will send that to a mentor. They'll assign you a mentor to help, okay? But if it looks like your program is well enough to go, you would get a letter to say, okay, we have your checklist and we're putting you in the program, okay? And so that initial page is just to assess where you should be in that program, where they should place you, okay? If you need help, they'll give you some help, a mentor. If not, you can move on, okay? All right, so that's the criteria page. Okay, thank you. So we can leave it up, but just go back to the presentation for right now. So these are all the things I'm assessing. I'm doing all these things. And I'm going to come back to about entering, okay? We'll come back to that. So the second phase is you will enter all the criteria, all information that you have into the tool. But I'll come back to that in a few minutes. So I'll go to the next slide there. So criteria. So let's talk about the program criteria, okay? What's needed, I kind of just showed you kind of what the program says you should have, okay? And I have a picture. So, in the program criteria, we've gotten all our information now. Everything's in file folders, and now, and this is an old picture of the criteria. It looks kind of the same, but a little bit different. You'll see here where now you can log in and you can begin mapping. And you map only when you have everything, okay? So I'm gonna go further and I'm gonna come back a little bit there. The first thing you have to do, I'm ready to go. The first thing the criteria says is you need a letter, okay? You need a letter of interest. Now, it's from the institution that's saying, hey, the president, the dean, the provost, the letter can come from any of those people, and it has to say, I'm aware that we're mapping to become a center of academic excellence. I support that. It's going to talk about anything you've done, how you've added value to the cybersecurity institution or ecosystem, if you will. How did you do that? You know, we've been in cyber. We had our curriculum for 2 to 3 years, and we're doing all these things with industry. So anything like that, that's a support letter. The president, the provost, the dean can write that and support. Okay? So you need that support letter. That's the first thing you need. You need some other things. Must be on official letterhead. Okay? Be uploaded to the web application. That's the web application you just saw. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay. You have to have a designated faculty member as the lead. Okay, as of last year, you need a backup person now as well, okay? So you not only need the lead. When I mapped for the first time about 8 years ago, it was just you needed a lead. When I redesignated last year, I needed a lead and a backup, right? So, and it is great that they've thought of this to add that backup person, because what if I get sick and I'm out for 6 months? Who's going to take over all those responsibilities? We need a person that is going to be the backup. So they need to know who that person is. So now all the information that the program office is sending, they know who to send it to. Because in the past, if someone quit or they left or they was on sabbatical, program office had no one to send information to. Nothing got done. Is that correct, Lynn? That's correct. They're saying yes, it's correct. Okay, so this application deadlines, this is not correct as of today. We have our tool list down. We're still taking applications, right, Lynn? So this is not correct right now. And we'll talk a little bit about the changes and why that is a little bit later. But in the past, we had an opening and a closing deadline, okay? So we're gonna let this go. All right. One of the things when you are going to apply and you think you want to apply for CAE, make sure that you're doing some outreach, okay? So because one of the questions is, what kinds of outreach are you doing? That could be outreach, as I talked about, K through 12. That could be outreach in doing a camp, a girls or boys camp, working with the Girl Scouts. So I'm giving you some examples here. That could be working with your state Department of Public Instruction on some curriculum for K through 12. That could be doing some things with the senior citizens in the area. Okay, so those are kind of outreach things. Articulation agreements, you need to have some. You have to show the program office that you are working with other 4-year colleges, a 2-year college and a university, K through 12 and a high school, so you need to have some articulations. Some schools have state articulations. You get more points for that. You have to also show where you are doing some things with your students, some kind of competitions, okay? And these competitions don't have to be regional, okay? We have regional competitions. We have the CCDC, right? But there's a forensics competition. You could do classroom competitions. Did you guys know that? I know you knew that, Kelly, right? So classroom competitions. And so, but you have to show that students are getting those skills, how they're getting those skills, all right? And which way they're getting those skills. It can be multiple. We also have one that's out, the Cyber League competition that's out now. That's a cost to students, but there is a book with a list, like 5-6 pages of different competitions you can do as well. If you don't have that list, it might be a good idea to get that. And think about it. So all these things you're thinking about and you're doing, as you start thinking about, I do want to become CAE, or are you ready to map? Okay. Providing cyber practitioners. So just like we saw today, we had all these industries here, and they're sponsoring the conference here today. So you need to have some practitioners come in and talk to the students. The students go out to industry and do some work, okay? Internships. Great way to do that, right, Kelly? Kelly's like, yeah, that's right. Okay. And then Centers for CD Education, you have to have a designated space, a lab or office for students to gather and share their news. So one criteria is that you have a center, a cyber center, right? So that can be a virtual space. It could live online, right? But even if it's living online, you have to have a center. You may have a picture of your college. And then I know Monterey has one. Can we pull up Monterey Cyber Center? And so it could be virtually. But there you're going to have all the things that the students are doing. If you're doing any kind of conferences, workshops, if the students have clubs, when are the clubs meeting? You have advisory board. If the advisory board is listed there, who are the advisory board members? You can have their names out there, right? Any competitions you're doing is there. If students need to do research, do you have a link for students to have some cyber resources so they can further advance their skills? So all those things are there. Okay, so here's Monterey Cyber Center. Okay, and so they have student life, they have some academics. So if you go to news, can we go to news and we can see? You can see that Monterey has a blog there. You can see what's happening with, they have some advice for graduating seniors, which is very cool. Recent news, we're going up. Look at, there's our the President Paul Muir here, and spring commencement. So information for students. So when the CAE program office visits the website, and they periodically go to check to see what's going on, they can see what's happening at Monterey without having to take a visit here, right? They can see they're being active, right? Thank you. So you don't have to have a physical space, but if you have a physical space, that's great as well. We heard this morning that Dr. Muir is going to have a Cybersecurity Innovation Center, so now he has a physical space. He's building a physical space, not only for cyber, for industry, right? For training and education. So that would be the physical space when they move there. So that's just an example. So you need to have one of those. It should be operational and dynamic. So a lot of times I see that when people become CAE, schools become CAE, they forget about the site. So they don't make the site dynamic. They don't continue to upgrade the site. So, because sometimes some web pages go away, links are broken. So you have to have a commitment, someone committed to continuing to update the website, right? So we forget about that. So we see that Monterey's been doing that, right? Okay. Also on their website, I forgot about, you can have pictures of your teachers or names of your teachers that's teaching cyber. You can do that. You can show what they're doing. You can have the lead's contact information, your program information. Those are some of the things can also be on the website in your virtual center. Right. Okay. I talked about that a little bit. So, one thing you also have to provide, and sometimes this is a sticky part of the application that we know creates a challenge for some schools, is to provide from the register office some enrollment numbers, right? You have to show that you have a viable cyber program. So they ask, how many graduates did you have in the last year? And the mandate is you only have, for a CAE application, you only have to have at least 3 graduates, and you have to show that. So that's not a lot in that first year, right? Over the 3 years, over the 3-year span, right? But sometimes people can't get that or don't want to share that, but you must have it. Another thing you must have is you must have a place where the NSA can get work that students have done. Now you can protect that, you can have a password around it, and you give it to the NSA so when they're evaluating your application, they can get to that, because they actually have to see the work, right, that the students is doing. So we have some challenges there, but that's important. You must have identify a POC, okay, a point of contact, right? You have to have, that point of contact has to have credentials, at least one credential, right? Either some type of Security Plus, a CCNA, a type of credential. CISSP would be wonderful, but they don't have to have all of them. And then someone on the faculty also has to have those, okay? At least one. Okay, another criteria is that the cyber has to be taught across the curriculum, across the college. Well, and so when I say across the college, what does that mean to you guys? Any help? Any takers? Across, yes.
Does that mean like if someone's learning software development, they take courses in cyber as well so that they can think about how?
Absolutely. So how is cyber is interdisciplinary around the college? So for us, we have several classes that all students must take in cyber. But then our nurses, we have a nursing program. Our nurses have to take a beginning cyber class, or, I'll say yes, yeah. So, or they have to take something that's embedded in their curriculum, whether it's a module, right? Because what? Nurses need to know about security. Because they're on the computer, they're putting everything into the system. We have the EHR, and so some of our nursing, they have 2 to 3 chapters on EHR, right? So that says this is embedded there. But what about, think about workforce development. We have a separate entity that we call workforce development, and they take classes, but no credit. But they're taking classes. So if you have that component, right? And if they're doing cyber, that can be counted as well, right? Because it's still a part of your college, but it's disconnected. Some people have that embedded. So if cyber is in that workforce development piece, that'll count as well. Another sticky thing is people get stuck on presenting your cybersecurity policies. So there is strict kind of guidelines around what that means. It cannot just be a use policy, but it has to be how is your cyber protected throughout the college. And so there's, under that criteria I showed you, it'll say, specific things. We need to see that institutional policy on cyber. Okay, so that could be, for us, it's a lot of different policies that are put together into one document. Or it may be a bunch of policies in one document, but then there may be a state policy as well. Every state has a policy on how things are going to be ran if you're in a system, a state system. Okay, so you can use that as well. You can put all three of those policies there to make sure you're hitting everything, okay? Sometimes there's a problem with various colleges of getting that information. We also have to say who is responsible for those policies. Do you have a security officer on board at the college? If you don't have a security officer on board at the college, then who is the person responsible for that security at the college? So they could be named. Yeah, question. And please, if you have a question, please feel free to ask it at any time.
Did you find that to be a little bit of a mind shift going through the application process? Because I would think part of that requirement is NSA probably taking into account you have a college website, and it's one thing to have a regular college website that someone's out there browsing around looking at websites.
That's a good question. And so you really have to think about that, because once you put that out there on your page, you're going to see that the college is going to be hit millions and millions of times by hackers. They're going to say, oh, really? You're a Center of Academic Excellence. Let me see, can I invade the college? Can I intrude? Can I hack into this? Yes.
I would say to that same point, change your sponsorship pretty quickly when you start the line with those activities.
I'm sorry?
You'll see that sponsorship money will change when you start labeling those things as well.
That's right. That's right. So what we tell everyone that's applying, and even so you have this conversation before you with all management. And so for us, when we decided that we wanted to become a Center of Academic Excellence, we brought everybody to the table. ITS, the presidents, the deans, the registrar's office, anyone that was going to have a little piece to play, a part to play in this big picture around the table, and we talked about all of those kinds of things and how we're going to handle that. And our IT department was like, we're going to be a sitting duck, so we need to beef up our security. So they know where the holes were, we don't, right? And so they knew that they had to do some things, and it was going to be an investment. So it might not have been an expensive investment, but they knew where holes were that they know that now they needed to fill those holes, right? Yes, absolutely. So the risk, they had to manage risk, absolutely. They couldn't keep saying, well, that's never going to happen, or push it back to the next budget year and those kinds of things. They had to do what they needed to do at that point. And even now, here's 8 years later, we're still, so day one, October, Cybersecurity Awareness Month, walked into the office, had about 10 emails. All of them were spam. Put your password in, and it said it came from ITS, okay? And so I had like 10 of them in a row, and I looked at all the emails. I said, "It's no way." And then you look at where it's coming from. Our ITS office, when we get an email from them, it's in a specific context. It didn't even look like it came from ITS. So I immediately knew it was spam. And so I immediately sent that email, just forwarded over to our ITS department, say, hey, this is going around the college. This is day one of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. If I got it, everybody else got it, and they might not know not to click on it. So I immediately got a ticket back saying, we received your email, and maybe about 20 minutes later, a vast email went out to everyone in college. Do not click on this. This is what you're going to see. We're putting this in a blacklisting this, okay? And so you're going to be hit. And they said that they're getting hits when I talk to, so I have a monthly meeting with the ITS department every month, and they'll tell me all the threats they're getting, you know, how it's so many more than, because they're doing data analytics on the background too, and they can say year one, where their threat level was, well, year two, and they can see all of that. And so, very good question. You really have to think about that on the front end, on how you're going to, and then you may not be able to do everything you need to do on the first year, but you know it's going to take you a while to get CAE. You can do it in different phases, if you will. But very good question. Okay, so cyber taught in other courses, so we were talking about that. So it can be in workforce development, it can be, we call ours EWD, educational partnership development, and then you can have a course that everyone takes to meet that is different ways you can meet that criteria. And I think we have already talked about institutional policies there. Okay. Share curriculum. So they want to see that you're sharing curriculum, whether you're helping another school with curriculum, you're sharing books, you're sharing a class, those kinds of things. You're sharing curriculum or workbooks with the K through 12. You must show that you're doing some sharing of curriculum. We talked about the clubs and all those kinds of things. Outreach, we kind of talked about that. You must provide artifacts, and I told you need to supply those documents, right? So you have to do that as well. We talked even about outreach. One thing I didn't mention is mentoring high school students. And one of the things we do to do that is we have a PC diagnostic clinic every year, and we mentor the students in the 12th grade on what we will be doing, and then they come and help us with that PC diagnostic clinic. And that clinic is open to the public. And we repair PCs for a full day, 1 day a year, and it's usually in March. So we mentor the students first, then we bring them in to help us so they can feel good about those skills they've learned, right? Okay, student development, hands-on labs. We are building some cyber hunting labs, and you heard Dr. Muir talk about cyber hunting and some of the skills that students need. So I am working with one of our partner colleges, and we're building cyber hunting labs that we're sharing to the CAE community in general, and then to each other, and then to our students, and bringing some high school students in to kind of pilot the labs. And so they'll be doing like the introductory labs, and the college students and university students will be doing the higher level labs, okay? And so that's kind of developing their skills. Another way is the SOC. I heard Dr. Muir said that they're building a SOC. We have a Cyber Operations Center lab for students, and in there we're really honing those skills of mitigating attacks. Also, they're being able to use a ticketing system, if you will, so they'll learn how to take tickets, as well as some advanced firewall protection, some data analytics, so they can look at packets and decide, well, was this a TCP packet? Was this a threat? Is it an alarm, or is it an alert? What is it? So to identify those kinds of things. In that lab, that's where they hone those skills, and we're looking at the NICE framework to align the skills that they will need for the type of program. So our program is technical, right? And so we had to identify what category is that, and for us it's protect and defend. So we are making sure that students are learning those skills under protect and defend, and you can look at those skills on the NICE framework page that I talked about earlier. Okay, you also have to have a certificate that says your student graduated from a CAE, okay? You can develop that. It can have some of the same wording as your designation. It can have different wording, but it must say that the student something, whether it's that certificate or whether it's something on their transcript that says they graduated from a center of academic excellence. And that kind of set the student apart, right, from the rest of the students that's applying for the same job, if you will. So that's important. So they get their credential and then they also get that certificate and or, you know, the little designation. For us, we give the student both. Okay, we talked about that a little bit there. You have to say on your application, what's the student's path to getting to whatever your credential is. It has to be a clear path, right? So the student will take these classes and this is what they're learning all the way through, whether it's a certificate, whether it's a 4-year degree, or whether it's a 2-year degree. Okay, we talked about articulations. So your KUs have to be mapped to the CAE approved program criteria. Okay, so I wanted to get to this. So I don't know how much time do we have? How much time do we don't? Okay. Okay, so we'll just, okay, I'm going to quickly get to this. I'm just going to show the map, if you will, because we talked about all these kinds of things. But just very quickly, CAE destination requirements, and I don't show something I wanted to show at the bottom. But so if you are a two-year school, then if you have an associate's degree, then you have to map to 3 of the KU's foundational requirements. You have technical core KUs, 5 of them. Optional KUs are 3. And we talk about optional KUs, you look at the bottom, you can decide whether you want to add ethics to it, whether you want to do some 2 technical cores or a subset of things, okay? And so I just wanted to show this, and if you're a 4-year school, you're doing a bachelor's degree, you also need to have 3 foundational KUs. You must have 5 core technical KUs or non-technical. So if if your program is not technical, you don't have to map to technical KUs. You can map to non-technical KUs and still be awarded the designation. So remember I said it doesn't have to be a technical. And then you have, as a university, you have 14 optional KUs to choose from. Okay, so I just kind of want to just go over that. I do want to say sometimes if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. This is we usually talk through this, but we went through the page. Kind of wanted to go through the screens, but that's okay. And I just want to say thank you for having me here, and I hope I was able to help you with some questions you had. All right? Any questions? Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Setting up internships, is that emphasized? I'm speaking from the view of a company that we're
Right.
always looking for how do we create a pipeline.
Right.
Is that a point of emphasis to develop those kind of relationships?
Yes, very much so. And so with me, I've developed internships for my students with industry partners. And so what's been happening over the last 4 years is that, so they must apply. And so we tell the students, okay, we help them get their resumes together. Then we send maybe 5 resumes to the employer. Then the employer gets to choose which students he wants to see and interview, and then he picks from that. That is, we send who we think are the best, and then they get to choose, okay?
When the CAE first started, it was purely to accelerate academic development of the program. But what it's evolved to, and the reason that Congress invests in the program now, is workforce development.
Mm-hmm.
Very clearly workforce development. So we're working hard to get industry involved in what we're doing for 2 reasons. One, so that at like the community college level, if you have local industry involved, then you're tailoring your program to what your local industry needs and what you're going to hire. But from our national point of view, are we teaching the things that our industry partners want to have? And So that as we push schools towards saying, if Deanne is working in her program and she's teaching forensics, let's say, and the employers are going to hire from that forensics program, as she develops competencies down to task level, are those the tasks that employers expect to see for that work role? And then at a national level, as I'm marketing the schools to industry, on my webpage, you should be able to go in and say, I'm looking for people with these kinds of skills, talents, and education. And my website should tell you these are schools that match your requirements. So that's where we're trying to go with emphasis on outreach so that we know that we're not just teaching for some vacuum in the sky, but that we're actually producing the kinds of students that are going to be able to do what employers need them to do.
And a couple of our industry partners, so when they hire our students, I also give them our program highlight sheet. And they look at that and say, okay, you said that the students learn all of this, and these are the skills that you said they learn. So I'm going to try it out. So then we've had employers to come back and say, okay, the student is great at this, and this, which you said that these are the competencies they have. But in soft skills, we tried to get the student to get up and do a presentation. They didn't have all of those soft skills. So we need you to born up on a. So what we did said, thank you for the great advice. And instead of the students who, the student was getting those soft skills in the beginning of their program, so we felt that they needed to have that throughout the program. So we added pieces and modules to horn up those soft skills. So at the end, they would have all the skills the employers. So that's just one way. But then we had another one that went into an employer and they were doing an assessment using some alien-bought software, and the employer said, we can teach them this, but it'd be helpful if they just had a baseline for it. And so those kinds of things, it's really helpful. So now you know that the students you're producing is the students that they want, and they are ready to go when they get there. Of course, the employer is going to teach them some other things, but those basic things that they want them to have, the students have those. So it's good to have the advisory boards and have those industry partners just willing to work with the students for those purposes, to build those skills, as Lynn said. And we have to keep working on that, because every employer is different.
That's great. And then the other side of that is, once we hire the person, we want to put them on a path where they're continuing learning.
Right.
We're always looking for sources of how do they continue to build.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. And we're doing the same thing. And just, it's a really good to have education, industry, and government, like all of us work together to get what we need, because it's a win for all. It really speaks to the school's curriculum when the students have all those competencies they need, and the employer has the skills they need to keep growing their business and to continuing to get business. And then we're protecting our nation, right?
We're also working on expanding articulation agreements with the onset of so many online programs now. If you hired somebody from a community college with an associate's degree and they need to keep working, but you also want them to advance their education, we'd like to be able to say, well, there's this great program at University of Washington that's online. They don't need to leave North Carolina.
Right.
To take that program, and the credits that they had at Foresight will satisfy some of the requirements in that program, so there's an articulation agreement. So we're starting a new initiative this fall where we're challenging the CAE community to find ways that we can do more articulation nationally utilizing online programs, so that we're not limited by geography. So
It's very good.
at Foresight, they have a highly technical associate's degree, and what we run into with some of our community colleges is that when their students go to articulate their partner universities, the university doesn't have a technical program.
Yeah.